On today's episode of Podcasting with Influence, we're sitting down with Alex Foulkes to talk about his early experience playing online poker and the skills that he learned through that he's applying in business to this very day. We're also going to share an experience, not one, not two, but 3 different bouts with cancer that he went through and the mind shift and the perspective that gave him. And finally, putting the right people in the right places in order to succeed in your business. Stay tuned. I think this will be a cool episode. This will definitely be one for all my entrepreneurs out there because that's your story, right? So, if we kind of dig in, you have a really interesting story and background stemming back from, as a kid playing online poker and what I would consider to be a pretty highly skilled poker player, considering most people, including myself, just end up losing money. But you were able to actually steadily make money and make a salary from doing that, which is insane, right? For the average person, that's really difficult. So I think that's pretty cool. And that led you to buying this restaurant at a really young age. And, I know that is an incredibly hard industry and difficult industry to navigate, especially at a young age. So, we definitely want to dig into some of that. But your latest venture is kind of a different industry, right? You're serving small blue collar businesses. And so, there's this whole transition through your life that I kind of want to talk through, but I want to dig in first to kind of what, led and inspired you to transition from being in, let's say, the restaurant industry, right? And all of those facets to now working with these small blue collar businesses. So why don't you expand on that, man? Tell me what inspired you. What made you make all these leaps?
Yeah, I think a lot of it really, my story is mostly unexpected. If you were going to ask me 20 years ago, would I go down on this path? I would say absolutely not, and I never really had a game plan for life. Through school, I wasn't the best student in the world. And I sort of just kind of floated by it. I wasn't a great sort of normal learner, but what I gravitate towards is I was always into sports. I was always into something that would give me adrenaline, because when I get adrenaline, I get focused and I'm either sort of on or off, and I'm either extremely focused or I don't care about whatever that thing is at all. And it's really hard for me to do those things that I'm not interested in. Probably ADHD or, something on that spectrum. So the restaurant industry, I say that because that's what I found. That's sort of the thing that in each of the things that I really did well in and I really strived to be good at was it was finding that focus. And the restaurant industry allowed me to have that because it's fast paced. It's somewhat unstructured at times. And it's sort of people centric. So, I've always done well. I'm sort of that extroverted introvert where it's I'm happy to be with people. I also really like my time alone and, need that. But when I'm in a restaurant or in that atmosphere, it flips on and it's immediately it's like a sports game where it's you're on. And if you're not going hard on this, then you're not functioning and you get weeded out pretty quickly. So I found that and loved it and just got really into it.
Yeah, well, and that makes sense why, poker was kind of your thing for a time, right? Because that's such an adrenaline. It's crazy. And the fact that, okay, the adrenaline, pushes you and you actually perform better under that kind of pressure, man, that makes that entrepreneur lifestyle just so perfect for you because, as it's a lot of ups and downs, man, and it's a lot of risk, right? And so if you're not prepared to be able to handle those types of risks, you're probably not going to enjoy it and you're probably not going to have a ton of fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Poker and business have so many similarities, and really playing poker and a lot of things just being even in business or within an organization or sort of managing your time in any way and emotion. It's like, being a small business owner, you're just working for yourself. I was just so extremely obsessed with it. I got it from my older brother who, moved to Vegas when I was in high school, and I watched him, and I was like, I want to be that. And you're able to do, and then the beautiful thing about it was you're able to do it on the computer and just sort of structure it how you want. I think again, like, just I learned how to learn in that on my own time, and could translate that, and I did, to each other sort of business venture in the real world that I took on after. And I only ended up doing it really full time for a couple years. I forget the date, but the DOJ came in and shut down online poker. It was called Black Friday, and as everybody just had like a choice, and I was at that point. And it was also the saying goes, it's a hard way to make an easy living, and it's absolutely true. It's a grind, and you can be losing almost as much as you're winning, and it's hard to move up. And when you do, and I realize now, like, there's no way it was sustainable. Having kids and a family, and I mean, some people do make it work, but you really got to move up quite high, and you got to be able to manage this sort of monotony. And businesses like that too. It's a lot of monotony. It's a lot of just little steps to improve, and then it's a few smaller periods of time where it's exciting and thrilling and scary, and you got to manage those just as well. And so it's like, I've had a few examples of that where it's, for whatever reason, I haven't been very risk adverse in my life. I've been open to taking those challenges and being okay with the downside. I generally, my brain goes, what's the worst case scenario? Do I accept it? Okay. And so I had those in business where it's, a young age, I put down a fair amount of money. It wasn't my money. I had to raise it. But it feels like your money, especially when you're asking friends, family, and, connections to give you money and trust you with, large sums at that point. So, that's scary, also very motivating. If you're going to get to that point and be able to do that, I think from there, it's like, you have all the motivation you need to make it successful. And if you want it enough, generally in life, I think if you try hard and push past those sort of boundaries that inevitably happen, you will be successful. It's just a lot of people don't get to that point or don't push through those very difficult times, and there always are.
Yeah, no, man, very well said. So tell us a little bit more about this new venture that you got going on, CoLabs, and kind of what that transition was like from one industry to the next, and how some of your previous experiences in hospitality kind of influence your new venture.
Yeah. Well, I've been a restaurant owner for about a decade now, and loved it. And again, the thing that I learned early on, even though I didn't realize it, starting basically right after college, is like, I know what it feels like early on to sort of control your own life and, structure things how you want. And once I had that, it was like, it's really hard to give that up. And so I always sort of strove for that. And waking up every single day, being excited for what you're going to do, being motivated, is something that, I hold really strongly to. And over the years being in the restaurant world, I got to the point where, I didn't want to be day to day anymore. I didn't want to be on the floor. And, I started to look for other opportunities. And again, that's sort of what my life has been. It's been a series of sort of opportunities and trying to capture those, not something that's planned. This business came really out of the hospitality industry. It came out of my experience. It came out of all the growth that I had been constantly working towards. And what we do is we solve sort of back office problems and structures and systems for small businesses. We've targeted the trades industry, sort of blue collar, electricians, HVAC, plumbing. In the future, we'll extend it, I'm sure, to small business in general, but trying to keep it sort of niche down. And the reason for it is not because I've always wanted to work with plumbers and electricians, but I love working with small business. Small business is what I know. We get right up to the line, at least right now, to like sort of that medium-sized business, but really most of our clients are on the smaller side. And I love to work on big picture mentality. Those are the things I like to do. But to do that, you have to have the foundation and the structure in place to be able to grow with that big picture mentality, right? So like you want to get to a certain point, you got to do a few things first. You got to have the right people in the right places. You got to have the right tools, the right systems, and you've got to have the right frame of mind to be able to sort of grow. Otherwise, you grow into just massive amount of pain points, and it's not going to work because you're going to hit those points and you're going to hate your life. So our company comes in, and I've been there. I've been extremely stressed out. I've had the wrong systems. I've had the wrong people. I've done every single mistake. I've done some things well, and I try to learn from both. So we start by working with our clients by just plugging in those systems, and we have receptionists, hospitality trained receptionists that we sort of plug in and manage with the business owner. A lot of times these people are out on the field and don't have time to manage, don't have the skills, don't want to. So we manage it with them. We just tell them, we're your employee. Tell us what you want. What's that high level sort of concept? I want to get better at customer service. I want to get more jobs. I want to be more efficient at my job. Great. Let's work out how to do it, and then let us help you manage it. And then we'll send the boring stuff is like invoices and following up, but hugely valuable for them, because a lot of times in the small business trades world, they don't have the time to send invoices. They don't have the time to follow up. And we do that for them. It's who, not how. How you do it is important, but it's who you have to do it. And so we want to be that who for them. Jump in, send those invoices, follow up, do it with hospitality. And the business just naturally grows from there because you have more time as an owner. You have better customer service. You're getting responses quickly as a customer. And that baseline in the trades is really low. In hospitality world, everybody knows you got to answer the phone, right? Everybody knows you got to treat people with customer service. In the trades, think about, your average plumber. It's like if you get a call back, can be shocking at times, right? If you get a follow-up, if they come to the service appointment, you're generally happy, right? Because it doesn't always happen. So fixing those things, you're going to be the best of the best. So that's the general thesis.
And that's great. And if you think of a lot of small businesses also, their owners oftentimes are still stuck kind of in the day to day, or are maybe the skill of the company, right? Meaning, okay, they may be like a master plumber, but yeah, they lack the expertise and knowledge of managing a team, of doing payroll, of the operational side of things, right? And so that seems like the perfect plug to help those people that, man, are killer, plumbers, super skilled HVAC people, whatever, but maybe need some help running that day to day and operationally. So I see a ton of value in there, and I can see where it translates. Now, you weren't just a restaurant owner, right? Like you were very heavily involved in a lot of different aspects of hospitality. Do you mind sharing like some of your other experiences in that world?
Yeah. So I also was a part of a startup that brought local delivery to, I'm from Connecticut. So we started in my area, which is on the shoreline. And we opened up a locally owned delivery company for restaurants. The reason from that is that DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats all came into our area at like the same time. And it was sort of atrocious service. Everybody was vying for market share and just taking advantage of small restaurants. So to spare a lot of the details, it was this sort of 6-month experience where I was like, I don't even know this world. Let's get into it. I knew pretty early on that I didn't want to work with the large companies because of what they sort of were doing in the industry. And it's a lot of sort of shady practices. Again, market share is a hell of a drug. And they were all really trying to vie for it. So I was looking for a local option, didn't find it, but through connections, I found this guy who had opened up a delivery company in Denver and had moved back to my area because his wife's from here. And we connected, and he had a concept for local delivery, essentially. And I just said, yes, this sounds great. And we built it from there. I was the first restaurant on, and we expanded out. And that was right before 2020. It was the end of 2018, early 19. And we started expanding in 2019. Perfect timing. Success is really 2 parts luck, and 1 part opportunity. And our luck was just that our timing was perfect. And I was set up as a restaurant owner for my restaurants that were like already good with delivery. So when we had to flip that on, because in 2020 every restaurant based, in the nation went to 100% for at least a little while delivery. So we were ready to go. We just switched it, and then every restaurant that was local needed restaurant delivery, and we were just perfectly poised to sort of capture that, and ended up expanding to 5 other locations, all locally owned in each spot by restaurant owners. Not every single one of them were owners of the delivery service, but a fair amount were. And it's providing local service on this sort of national playing field. And it was great. It was a huge experience. It was very sort of growth-minded organization, and just learned a ton from it. It was my first sales job where I had to go out and put myself on the line and knock on a door and say, "Hey, I'm a restaurant delivery company," and everybody tells you get lost. I say, "No, I'm local. I own a restaurant too. I'm like you." And they go, "Okay, fine. Tell me a little more." And you got to get over those roadblocks.
Well, it's no, 100%. But it's cool that, I mean, again, you can kind of fall back on your background, and hey, I'm just like you, right? And kind of rely on that community that you've kind of built, with your own business as you expand into these other efforts. So, I want to kind of pivot a little more broadly to, looking at your overall entrepreneurial journey. I love to find, people's challenges, an example or two of kind of a challenge you've experienced in this journey that you've had so far, because I love to hear people's different perspectives and experiences, because your challenge may be something that somebody else has either already experienced as well and can relate, or B, has not experienced it yet, but are probably going to experience something similar. And when they do, this is a good moment to have learned a thing or two. So walk me through, has there been any significant challenge that kind of, sticks out in your mind through your journey so far that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Yeah, so I have a interesting one. I'm 39. At 24 years old, I was not a business owner at that point. I was diagnosed with cancer very early, young person, and still in that I'm invincible stage. So that's like a very quick reminder that you're not invincible. I had a good one, testicular cancer. It's very curable, and once you deal with it, you're generally good. The dealing with it is not fun. I went through, I think, 6 months of chemo. That was an experience, I could go on and on about. I'm very thankful for the medical systems and science and technology. I think we undervalue that in our lives. 100 years ago, I would have been dead 100%. 50 years ago, I probably would have. They just didn't understand it. Now it's like 98% chance of survival. So I got over that. And it was this sort of story in my life. But it wasn't something that like really ever scared me. Honestly, it sounds crazy, but I was young and, the prognosis was good. And then 8 years later, I got another form of cancer, and I was 30, I think. And I had just taken over as a restaurant owner, like 6 months. I was in the process when I first got diagnosed again. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is not, how can this happen again? And I remember like at the time, like knowing what I'm in for at this point. It's like a flip of a switch. It's like your life just goes, you're building, growing, doing well. I had a daughter, I think she was like 6 months or maybe a year at the time. And everything just goes, flips, and life doesn't care what you have or what you have going for you. And you got to put everything else in the back burner. So that one, and I ended up getting another one. So I've had it 3 times, but only 2. Yeah. Only 2 chemotherapy needed, but surgeries and the whole 9 for all of them. And the second one, where I had a family and I had a business, and all I wanted to do, like, this was new business, like I wanted to be in it. I just wanted to like be there and like growing. I couldn't. That was the heart. not the hardest part. A very hard part of it was just being removed. I was up in Boston, restaurant was in Connecticut, and I had to go. But it really takes you down. And so I share that because you asked the question, but also nothing in life that I think affects a lot of people. Again, maybe this is akin to like the risk, not being risk adverse, is like, if there's something that's stressful, it just doesn't stress me out like it does, I think, a lot of people, because A, I'm so appreciative that I'm just even here. And B, I've just been through pretty much the hardest thing I think you can really go through without losing my life. And so anything above that is like house money. And like, it's all at this point, like, I'm just happy to not be doing that for the next 6 months. So business is fun. Like, if I can be doing that and I can be working a little longer than I'd like, or doing certain things that I don't want to necessarily be doing, or like getting uncomfortable, it's like, all right, put myself back in that mindset and let's go.
Yeah. My God. I mean, that's a just incredible story. And if you talk about perspective, man, 3 times, that'll give you some perspective. When you talk about a challenge you face in a business, there's nothing that's going to touch on what you've been through. So that's incredible that you found a way to, one, be able to take that and those experiences and make them positive, and use that as a way to kind of shape the lens in which you view everything in your life and see what's really important. And I mean, so I love that, man. I've got 2 cancer survivors in my family, so I understand the struggle, and that is, man, commendable, to say just the absolute least. So, we're going to branch a little bit yet again, but I kind of wanted to make sure that we also mention, kind of a work-life balance, because, I know you're probably like myself in the sense that when I latch into something and when I get focused on something, it's really hard for me to pull apart from that and separate myself. I get really into stuff and I go hard, right? And that can be problematic, especially if it is your business or your company and you're just, head down trying to get this done and be fully involved. But at the end of the day, you also have a family, you have, all these other responsibilities to juggle. So how do you do that? How do you manage that? And walk me through kind of your experience with that work-life balance.
Yeah, I have a really good work-life balance, but I had to work up to that. I had to learn how to do it, and I would work more than I do just because I love working, but I also love being home. And now my life is often home. I'm in my home office now, and I'm out and about, but I'm more often in my home office. So it's home and work are like pretty sort of much the same thing, but. One, I've opened and failed and started a lot of businesses at this point. I've seen what sort of struggles and pain points happen. I've been in sort of the CEO seat for a lot of them, and those have been good and bad. And so I know sort of what the framework is for how to grow a business well, and I know you can't be overwhelmed. So at this point, I'm really lucky. I have my co-founder is a guy that I've been working with for a very long time, and I've sort of built him up. He's younger than me, but we started that sort of mentor-mentee relationship, and just talked all the time, and worked and opened up another business before that wasn't great, and we ended up selling it to another partner, and learned from that. And he and I have a great working relationship. The businesses that have all done well for me, I've always had a really good working relationship with my co-founder. And this is the case for that. And we decided somewhat early on that I'm in the CEO seat, he's in the COO seat, so he's operations. And I'm super lucky that I get to be in that high level. I'm always thinking into sort of next year, next month. I'm living in the future. And he's running it, and I'm sort of helping when needed, but like very much not in the business. And that's a weird transition for me, because I come from originally the restaurant world. It's like, you're not working, you're not, doing it right. It's that mentality of like, you got to be working with your hands or it doesn't count. but we're able to achieve so much more because I get to have the free time to think a lot and do things like this and talk and strategize. And if you do that enough, once in a while you have a good idea or two, and that's what it's about. And so I try to come up with a couple good ideas and then just strategize on that and fill in whenever sort of needed. But he does a great job on the operations, and we put that together and we build the team from there so that he's not getting overwhelmed and I'm not getting overwhelmed. I will say the other way we're able to achieve that is it's very different from the restaurant world, which is slim margins and difficult, no matter what you do. We have a high value, high sort of ticket business. And so we're able to have the flexibility to put that into our team and provide a really good service that isn't dependent on us. And if it's dependent on you, you're going to get burnt out. It's not going to be worth much because it's not seen as an asset, right? If you hold all the knowledge and you're the owner, I'm going to buy it. What I have to know all of those things, right? Or I got to find somebody. So it either cuts into profit or I got to be there working. And people who have the money to do that don't want to do that, right? So we've been trying to build this up where it's like we have the team and we have the structure in place to support us at the top. And that comes from just a ton of lessons of trying it the wrong way and learning and teaching and being a part of groups. And so far, I think we're on the right track and it's been working great. So we'll see what other lessons we learn along the way.
Yeah, that's right, man. Well, you mentioned real early on in this episode, one of the keys was having the right people in the right places, man. And in my experience, I couldn't agree more. I mean, wow, man, it makes a huge difference. So to kind of wrap up here, because we're running out of time, but I want to give you the chance to give some advice, man, to somebody that's starting their first business, right? Or, getting into, let's say, hospitality or even the blue collar, what would be one piece of advice to that person that's thinking about opening their own business, maybe stepping away from, their job to go on their own and start that journey? What would you say to that person?
Well, I think a lot of people who are thinking about doing their own thing for the first time, think that they have to have it figured out before they jump in and do the thing. And it's not true. If you had it all figured out, you would be in a much different place than you were when you were thinking about opening your first business, right? So it's like anything, you have to learn how to do it. And the only way to learn, not just theoretically, because you can read a book and you can talk to people, but you haven't done it, is to just get in and do it. So first step is like, if you have a good idea and you're passionate, right? Not even a good idea. If you're passionate about something and you love doing a thing every single day and you can picture in your mind, like, hey, if I wake up and do this for the next year, I'm going to be happy. Great. I think that's probably your business. You have to just start it first. And from there, you're going to have a level of excitement. Being a new business owner, you're going to look at the logo, you're going to look at the name, you're going to look at everything. You're going to be like, hell yeah, like I'm doing this thing. It's awesome. And then you're going to hit a rough patch because it always happens. And you're going to learn all of this sort of dirt that goes along with being a business owner. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. There's always going to be, there's going to be green grass. There's going to be dirt with it. So you got to also push through that stage where now you're getting a little dejected and you're frustrated and it doesn't go exactly how you planned it. You had this big sort of picture in your mind and you didn't quite hit it. You got to push through there. And if you push through there, you will have the knowledge and the excitement. And then you'll also understand sort of the pain points that you have to push through. And you put those together and you will be successful if you put enough time and effort into it. People just generally don't do the thing at first or give up too early. And it doesn't mean also that you can't change your path. But giving up is saying, I can't be a business owner. I guarantee I have a good friend who is the most unbusiness-minded person in the world. She will say it. She just started doing social media and she's killing it. Within 5 months, she's making like 80 grand a year. She has like 15 accounts or something. She's growing. She's turning away business. She has no clue what she's doing. But she's doing it well because she loves photography and she loves connecting with people. And so she has the salesmanship and she has the thing that really matters most, which is photography. And from there, it's like, figure it out. If you have somebody, I help her along the way, great. But like, the information is out there. You will do it. Just don't give up.
Man, that's so good. And I couldn't agree more. And, I see the same thing with podcasting, right? A lot of people feel like they have to have it all figured out. They're afraid to start, and we'll back up. Not even just podcasts, putting content out there in general, right? The whole fear is, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to say. And I'm afraid, what if people don't listen? And, all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, you just got to get going. You got to just put yourself out there, put content out there, and figure it out along the way, right? And be okay with, okay, I'm getting 20 views, but one day you're going to get 30, and then, right? And it just grows. It's just something you do over and over. And you talk about any of the people that have had success in any of these fields with content, podcasting, people like Alex Foulkes, who talks about, man, I did this for 10 years. When I started, I said, I'm going to do it for 10 years. And it didn't blow up until like year 8 or something like that, right? But he did it, and he, pursued that. And to your point, man, just do it. You'll figure it out along the way. I love that. Just believe in yourself too, man, because that's, oh my gosh, great advice.
Well, everybody sees the 10-year mark, right? 8 to 10 years, and they go, okay, that's what I want in year 2. It's just like, it doesn't happen, right? Maybe there's a few, I'm sure, that get lucky. The other thing I've realized too is you have to sort of hack the process and get good. Like I've been going to the gym for the first time. I've been doing it for like a year and a half. I go 3 to 4 times a week, and I work out on a 5th day, usually like playing soccer or something that I love. I've never been able to sustain going to the gym more than like 3 months. I learned that you have to hack the process and find the ways that make it fun to do the thing. But if you focus on, I want to get sort of ripped, like I want to be this weight in 6 months, like that's hard. But if you go, I just want to do 3 days a week, and I want to enjoy those 3 days, right? I've said no to like a personal trainer because he wanted me to wake up at Wednesday mornings at 6 a.m. I was like, I don't want to work out at 6 a.m. right when I wake up. I want to have my coffee. I want to spend an hour like doing whatever, and then I'll go. So like, get rid of the things that you don't like doing. Get the people to do those things in your business for you, and make sure that you enjoy doing it. And then you'll be sustainable because you won't mind doing the thing. So if like you're looking for views and that podcast, credit, then you're not going to be successful because you're going to be frustrated. But if you go, hey, I want to just figure this thing out, and like, these are the things I like to do, I'll find somebody else to do the things I don't, you'll probably be successful.
That's it, man. A lot of wisdom. You can tell your experience in all that you've done has given you a lot of wisdom in all these regards. So, man, I'd encourage anybody to reach out to Alex and really send a request on LinkedIn. I mean, how can people connect with you if they want to get in touch with you, talk more, learn more about what you got going on? What are some good places to go?
I'm somewhat new on LinkedIn, but I am on there. So you can find me. My business email is alex.foulkes, so FOULKES @CoLabsHQ.com. Reach out there, email me. I'm happy. I love to do these. Thank you for having me on, by the way. This is great. I love having these conversations. I love just helping people if they're interested. And like, I look for those people who are like sponges and are just like, just show me and just like talk to me. And like, I'll ask them things and learn a ton on my side. So if it's somebody like that and just wants sort of to talk, more than happy. If they want business help, happy to kind of do that as well.
Perfect, man. Well, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate your time. I know you got a lot going on, so I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and speak to me and our audience. So, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Please make sure to go connect with Alex. And, guys, if you like what you heard, like and subscribe and keep coming back. We're going to have some other great, successful stories and guests to come on and share their experiences. So we'll see you next time on Podcasting with Influence.